Right, 18 minutes past 6 here on Morning Live on this Monday morning. It's so lovely having you with us. The National Youth Development Agency, or the NYDA, serves to empower the youth by developing interventions that deal directly with the problems affecting them. It was created as a consequence of Parliament passing the Act 54. Given that the bulk of South Africa's population consists of the youth, it is important that they are put at the forefront of the country's agenda. We have Yershin Pillay in studio with us to tell us a little bit more about this. Good to have you, Yershin. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thanks.
What is the role of the NYDA and how effective has it actually been in fulfilling this particular role?
The role of the NYDA is really to create and promote coordination in matters of youth development. And in some instances to initiate programs aimed at poverty alleviation, job creation, while in other instances really to mainstream and facilitate youth issues into society. And since inception, in 2009, through the merger of the former National Youth Commission and Umsobomvu Youth Fund, we've really sought to link policy and legislative change with the development of programs, products and services and the implementation thereof. Yeah. So the NYDA is really a one-stop shop for youth development in the country, but also seeking to coordinate efforts so that we're able to make a meaningful impact in the lives of young people.
Okay, looking at the youth, and I mean there are so many issues affecting the youth of this country. What is on the top of your agenda?
Well, enemy number one right now is youth unemployment. Yeah. And we need to acknowledge two things. One, it's not a new challenge that we're confronting. Youth unemployment has been on the rise in the country since the 1980s. It's also not uniquely South African. Most countries in the world today have prioritized the issue of youth unemployment. In fact, at the recent World Youth Conference, almost every national statement focused on the issue of youth unemployment. So the challenge of youth unemployment is really a major issue in the country right now. And we've really focused all our efforts, energies and resources into bringing all stakeholders, government, private sector, labor and young people themselves towards a more comprehensive and concerted effort at interventions aimed at youth unemployment.
Yeah. What solutions can you offer? I mean, let's talk about that. Have you managed to come up with anything, implement anything to try and alleviate the situation of youth unemployment? Because that is at the core of every problem that the youth of this country are going through.
Well, what we've acknowledged is that there's no silver bullet to youth unemployment. We need a multi-pronged approach. And we need a multi-pronged approach that speaks to, on the one hand, interventions aimed at education and skills development, and on the other hand, interventions aimed at youth entrepreneurship, health and well-being, etc. But you also need an approach that brings together all stakeholders. And we feel that the Youth Employment Accord, for example, provides a blueprint, a viable blueprint, that brings all stakeholders towards 6 commitments with public sector measures, private sector measures, youth targets set aside, and a viable program that we can take forward in the next 5 years to really make a dent on this picture of youth unemployment. Right now we're scratching the surface, and if we coordinate our efforts better, mainstream issues, youth issues into society better, and facilitate our youth unemployment interventions, we may actually start to make a dent on this bleak picture of youth unemployment.
What about the support from local government and private entities? I mean, that's pretty much so at the heart of what the NYDA does, tries to work with these entities. Do they assist? Have they come on board?
They have, and its partnerships is a very critical element to our success.
Yeah.
You can't place all your hopes on one single entity. The NYDA's role is really to create partnerships. And one of our key partnerships is with your local and district municipalities. We have 198 local youth officers around the country. And these local youth officers provide information on the various opportunities that young people or do have. But they are only allowed to function optimally if they exist in partnership with your local and district municipalities. Yeah. So such examples are examples of how we can partner. And we're looking to partner with the private sector more. We have a very exciting program coming soon with the private sector for youth entrepreneurship, so that we have young people creating jobs for other young people and improving the levels of youth entrepreneurship in the country.
All right, Youth Month, it's a month entirely dedicated to the youth here of South Africa. Any plans from the NYDA for this particular month?
We have a very exciting program for Youth Month this year. Again, it's the backdrop of celebrating 20 years of democracy. We have a lineup of various community interactions starting tomorrow in the city of Johannesburg, where various youth organizations will be exposed to the NYDA strategy and programs and be able to input into it. That will be followed by another one in Dar, because we're focusing on rural youth, reaching out to rural youth, understanding their needs, interests and aspirations, and how best to address them. And then we'll be launching various programs such as the Lokshan Hub in Priska in Northern Cape, where you have young youth-owned cooperatives in jewelry making, glass bead manufacturing, and trying to expose them. And towards the end of the month, we'll also be launching the South African Youth Development Institute in partnership with the University of Johannesburg to drive matters of research in the country. And as always, we will then follow that up with various other programs and initiatives throughout the year, so that young people are not only exposed to what the NYDA has to offer in the month of June, but can also participate and access opportunities throughout the year.
All right, Yeshan Pillay, thank you for talking to us ahead of, well, in the middle of Youth Month, really. June is Youth Month, and this is the National Youth Development Agency's Executive Chair, Yeshan Pillay, talking to us about some of the things that they're doing to assist the youth. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right.